Starting up now. All right, it says it's live. It might be on my YouTube, so let me go to
Yeah, I can see that
YouTube.
it's live. I don't think I can share this. It's probably you who has to
Yeah. So
share this hangout.
I'm gonna go ahead and share this link.
I don't think I can share this. It's probably you who has to
Yeah. So
share this hangout.
I'm gonna go ahead and share this. It's
You're
a
watching
little,
it on YouTube now,
it's a
aren't
little
you?
delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted it, and I just posted the hangout in
Yeah.
in the hangouts room. So yeah, we're being recorded now. So
Oh snap.
everything is going down in history.
We should get Jonte in here as well. He's online.
Yeah, we should. He's online right now. I'm gonna ping him.
Yeah.
That's my dude right there, man.
Yeah. Whenever he's in, it's always a party.
Yeah, I'm pinging him now. Yeah, he always has great feedback and insight.
He does.
Insight, because I know before he mentioned that we were doing like a bi-weekly hangout before, where we would just kind of it was kind of like ATP style. Do you watch the ATP podcast
No.
with the what's his name, Marco Arment and John Siracusa? But they pretty much just talk about Apple stuff, right? They talk about, okay, the Apple Pencil did this, the MacBook Pro,
Oh yeah.
the iPhone, and just kind of like just Apple topics in general for Apple nerds. And I remember John Tay before mentioning how he wanted some to be technical podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll go in there and talk about something technical, like what is a UI view controller? Just as a basis. What is core Bluetooth? Or somebody just sit down and for 45 minutes or an hour just talk about the foundation framework and and things like that. I think those type of topics can be really helpful. In addition to talking about Apple rumors and things like that.
Yeah, just the what's new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should balance that out, because you don't want to be like just talking gossip all the time. Like, oh, I heard that Apple will do this, or oh, did you see somebody said that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it can be fun, but
yeah. So I kind of broke it into 3 different subjects: design, iOS frameworks, and programming. Right, just core essential programming.
Yeah.
Things that will fall under design would be, how to use Sketch, or how to do wireframing, how to do prototyping with Framer.js or origami or things like that.
Yeah.
And then another one would be iOS frameworks, where we would talk about core audio, core Bluetooth, UI kit, just a lot of the iOS frameworks. Somebody can just get on there who's probably building a project using one of these technologies, and just gets in there and just starts talking about it. And then the third would be programming, where we can talk about things like some of the latest additions to Swift, evolution in Swift, some things on functional programming, how to use maps and arrays in Swift, and of course some Objective-C stuff as well.
Yeah. We should do a little bit of Objective-C, just a tiny bit, especially talk about how crappy it is.
What was that?
we should especially talk about like how crappy Objective-C is.
That would be a good one. That would probably be like a really good episode. Probably like talking about developers transitioning from Objective-C to Swift.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. To hear guys like Ryan and Ian talk about things like that, who've been writing Objective-C for a while, and who are also getting really into Swift at the same time. It'd be really
Yeah, I think there are a few of the like exceptions. I've seen a lot of Objective-C people be like, well, let's just wait until it's very, very stable, and they kind of want to hang it out for a couple of years maybe before they think it's ready.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, man. Yeah, some people are like, yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to Objective-C until everything is written in Swift. I mean, slowly, Apple, all the demos on WWDC, all the examples are in Swift, but I guess until UI View Controller or UI Kit, until UI Kit is completely written in Swift, a lot of people are just going to hold off and say, we're just going to stick with Objective-C.
Yeah. Even though I don't know, I've been doing Swift for a year now, and I have seen zero things where I was like, oh, damn it, if only I had picked Objective-C.
Yeah, for the most part, man. Yeah, Swift is doing a really good job. Especially with it being open source now. I mean, the momentum behind it is unstoppable. It's definitely something as an iOS developer, I think everybody needs to just go ahead and just learn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, that was it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can talk about like a schedule and stuff like that, and how often we want to do these things. And
yeah, I think we should try to do like every Friday or something, or maybe I'm gonna say something crazy. Maybe we should do Saturdays or something.
Hey, man, Saturdays works, man. That works for me. I know most people aren't working on Saturday, and another thing about Saturdays, with all the different time zones, I know you're at 8 o'clock already, so people can stay up later. People can wake up earlier. Most people are not doing much on Saturdays. You guys don't have any lives.
Not at all.
But yeah, we can definitely do something like this. It looks like we have 5 viewers.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
And that's not even the real deal. This is just us coming up with the real deal.
Oh yeah,
John wants to join, but only if it's all focused and timed per topic.
Yeah, forget about it, John. You don't gotta.
He doesn't want us to mess up the schedule.
We don't have an alarm.
We can promise him that it won't be longer than another 20 minutes.
I can't promise that. I mean, it might be. I mean, it'll probably only be 12 minutes. I don't know.
Nah, it shouldn't take up like 45 minutes of his time.
No. I mean, you can hop on this and hop off whenever you feel like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody? I mean, the room is open for everyone. But just
to hop on.
Yeah, just to reiterate, is Jasbo gonna hop on?
No. He asked, like, is this a way to sort out how we'll move forward with Hangouts? I said, yes. He said, so. And then I said, like, if you have any ideas, just hop on. We won't take too long, probably 20 minutes.
Yeah, tell him to get his ass on here.
Yeah. I bet he's watching us right now.
Yeah. Jasmo, get on here, man. Stop being like that. Yeah, man.
So you've been wanting to do this for a while, right?
I mean, I want to make weekly. It. Maybe probably not the iOS developers, but I know I wanted to create some kind of podcast, some kind of educational podcast. pertaining to iOS and Apple development
You just
specifically.
you just said educational, and that's when you had John. And
Yeah,
he was
that's
like, "Oh, education! I love that stuff. I need to hop on right now."
that's the that's the key word. So I was like, hey, they're talking about education.
Yeah. Okay. This is my thing.
Did somebody just call me John?
Yeah, I did.
What the fuck?
That,
I
That's
am
bad.
I
that,
am
that's your
not John. I have said that many times.
John Tay. I'm sorry. I'm
Very
sorry.
good, John
I can.
Tate, and
I do know how to pronounce your name properly.
or Jazzbo. But yo, okay. So are you guys trying to figure out what we're gonna do on a week-to-week basis?
we're
Yes.
freestyling right now, man. Yeah,
Okay, wait, give me a second.
He's putting on his thinking hat.
I hear it. I hear the aluminum foil.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, okay, is this gonna be on the web? It probably is gonna be on the web.
It's already
It,
on.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's on YouTube right now. We're
We're live.
broadcasting live on YouTube. So
He's got
Okay.
5 viewers.
don't say anything about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
All right. So, are we trying to finalize how we're gonna handle this on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. So these are my opinions, and you guys can tell me what you think about it. I think we should have a focused meeting every week. So half an hour is good, in my opinion. Half an hour because if I'm going to work or somewhere, if I miss the thing, I can play it in the background of the podcast or something. Does that make sense? And an hour for most people requires commitment. It's like a lot of work to get an hour blocked out in a day to listen to something that was done. But if it's like a half an hour, and we do it every week so people know that they can expect a podcast or a video each week describing specific topics that we announce and tell people about through our Twitter account. I have our Twitter account, by the way, and if anybody's watching this and you need anything announced through our account, if we find it fit, we can send it out through our accounts on Twitter. So we can announce the topic each week, announce what we'll cover, and announce when the video or the podcast would be available. I just don't want to be a part of something that's drawn out or something that doesn't have specific times because most of us have to schedule around it to get it done.
yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I would say for one, how high fidelity do we want these podcasts to be?
Just want them to be good quality. I mean, it doesn't have to be high fidelity. Like that just seems so crazy. But I mean, for me, whatever I'm participating in, I just want it to have, uh, just to abide by some culture that has reverence to excellence. It just shouldn't be sloppy.
Exactly. So,
So, so all we have
so
to do is schedule it. I mean, we can freestyle it. We don't have to come here and be like, we have written things to talk about. We come and we just talk freely about how we feel about whatever topic it is.
It's basically going to be just us reading a script that way.
Right, exactly.
yeah,
And I would be in Hollywood if I wanted to read scripts, but I'm not down for reading scripts. I just wanna come and talk about the stuff, how we feel about what we're doing, if it's a new framework or something new from Apple. Talk about how we're using it. Like recently, Donnie was using Fastlane, and we were having some private conversation about it. That kind of stuff I think is cool because Donnie could tell us about his experience and how he thinks about it and how it's enhances productivity. That makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if
that's the kind of topic where I would say like just have somebody talk about
talk about
what they did with it for 10 minutes, like sort of why, what did you do with it, how did it turn out, and then we can do 5 minutes or 10 minutes of questioning, like sort
right,
of, oh, I want to know how I can implement this, and then
exactly.
maybe have another one of those people on who also talks about like what they are using and why, and then do another one of those sections, and you're going to be in for 30 to 40 minutes, but it's going to be two people talking about something they use and love to use,
Right.
or totally do not love to use. I mean, why not?
I think what we can do is have like one or two hosts and a guest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, or we can even we just have to if we have three people, then it becomes more people that needs to talk. So if we have two people and then we have one guest, then we can do it. And if we don't have a guest, then all three of us can come on that week. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Sure.
So it's like having someone to talk about a topic, invite someone to talk about a topic. and we talk about it, and then we publish it. I don't know if we prefer video because I'm not really certain about the purpose of the video since we're not
Yeah,
presenting
yeah,
anything
we're not
really.
the most best looking developers. So
So shut up.
Speak for yourself.
video
So
is definitely not a must, right? I mean, if
no,
we definitely don't have to do video.
no, I'm saying if we do podcasts, um, if we can do a podcast style thing, since unless we're presenting, we don't need a video really. And if it's a podcast, I can plug it into my radio, into my phone while I'm going to work or traveling to pick up the boys from school or something. You know,
do we
I
want
can.
to do we want to be able to sort of live stream the thing? So video or not, I don't really care. But do we want to be able to have people sort of like have a chat room or whatever where they can talk about what we're talking about at that moment?
What's the benefit of doing that?
Well, do you know? I think I mentioned Shop Talk Show to you before, where they have guests and stuff. And what they do is they do the podcast live, so people
Mhm.
listen in, and then they have a chat room. And sometimes they have a listener question, and then somebody says something, and they're very wrong about it, or there's other ways, and then the people in the chat room can just say like, "Hey, there's other ways to do this." And sometimes it's very valuable. Sometimes it doesn't matter at all, and I mean the chat gets mostly ignored.
Yeah,
Sometimes it seems useful.
my only issue is that from our past experience, what I've realized is that the majority of times the hangouts didn't happen was because we had conflicting schedules.
Yes.
So it's hard to get people online at a time that's convenient for us. In my opinion, if we want to get questions, we can solicit those questions on Twitter or in our group online, and we could get those questions. We filter those questions, and then we get them answered by our guests or whoever is presenting.
Yeah.
Then whenever people have time or it's convenient to them, they can go and listen to our podcast or watch the video. Then, say for instance, we tried it, and then we have like a significant amount of people coming to us and saying, "Hey, can we do this live? Because I want to catch it."
Yeah.
You know, and then we can watch the numbers and play with it, and then we can act accordingly.
Yeah. Because I do think that a benefit of not doing it live would be we can do it whenever. So if we want to have like Ian Keen on to talk about like his
Events,
IK events thing that he always links, and he says like, yeah, but I really cannot do this Friday thing that you always do. Like, sure, we'll do it Saturday. Like,
right? And
care.
or we could have him talk about MVVM. I really want to get into some more architecture stuff. We could have talked about architecture, and he could we could have him talk about
So Jasbo, you so we kind of discussed that. So let me rehash some of the things that me and Donnie were talking about.
mhm.
Oh, looks like we have another Zane. What's up, man? Zane Helton, how you doing, bro?
Not sure he's hearing.
It's all good.
Okay.
Either way, yeah. So I'll share my screen. You know, I like to share my screen. So I was thinking about just like you're talking about, Jasbo, the technical stuff. Have people have the two hosts and have a guest come on, and he just school us on something technical.
Right. Super dope, and we find exciting.
Yeah, and so I was thinking about essentially three different topics for the most part. We have design, where somebody can get on. They can talk about Sketch and how to do and how to create an iOS app in Sketch for the iPhone 5, make it create an adaptive layout and all that good stuff.
I think we have a volunteer for that. His name is Andy Solomon.
and then we can do one on wireframing and prototyping. This could be you can use quartz. How to spell that, quartz, or like origami and things like that.
Don't forget Marvel.
Oh yeah. And then Marvel, and Framer.js. You have tons of stuff, right? People can just come on here and school us on design stuff. And then the next week we can talk about iOS frameworks. Awesome stuff, right? We can have somebody that's probably building like a music app or a podcast app. Just school us on core audio. You know?
Hey, listen, we can even do Twitter, Twitter, the thing where
Polls?
Twitter has, yeah, no, not Twitter posts, but Twitter,
Authentication.
The Twitter question. Twitter question where you can ask people what they want you to cover and they can just respond.
Oh, you're talking about the poll, the Twitter poll.
I totally drew blank on that.
Yeah.
My bad, boys.
It's all good. Yeah, that's the new feature, man. Yeah, that feature's awesome. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's super dope. I don't know if you realize the interaction on it. Like a tweet would get like 50 faves and maybe 75 retweets, but like tens of thousands of response on the poll. So the poll is more interactive. People feel as if it's not committal, because people can't really see what they do. They can just respond to the poll quickly. But yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, we can use Twitter polls to see what topics people want us to talk about. Our Twitter handle is pretty inactive at the moment, and I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna put it on my list of something I want to improve. Like just interact with the people who follow us and share stuff from our network. So people can see that like our account is active, and maybe we'll get some more members.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's awesome. That's definitely a way to drive people to the podcast show, whatever we want to call this. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, and then somebody come on here and tell us about Foundation, right? And
nobody's gonna talk about Foundation. Why don't we have
Foundation?
Yeah, why don't we have like something like core data that people absolutely despise, but they often need to work with, our core animation or core graphics. I'm biased when it comes to those two things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That would be your topics.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, definitely. If core graphics, core animation, but I mean, just put me a few weeks down. But certainly that's the idea, like to get people to come and talk about a topic. And I think if this gets like an audience, then we can even get more popular people to come on here and contribute.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
For sure.
That would be awesome. And let's try to narrow it down to iOS frameworks. Let's not have somebody. I don't know. I guess it's up to you guys. Like how far, how technical, and how narrow do we want to be? Do we want to just specifically talk about iOS and not talk about Mac OS and tvOS?
Yeah, this is if it's an iOS podcast, we can stick to iOS stuff. I don't have any objections to that. The thing though is if it's related to iOS and programming, I'm not sure why we should really limit it. Like if someone wants to talk about a topic that's popping right now, like say POP, no pun intended, but if that's popping and that's what people are talking about, then we can talk about it. It's not a framework.
But it's also not non-iOS stuff. Like I could imagine that we wouldn't want somebody to take us through like everything tvOS related.
Yeah.
It could be sort of small part of it, like say like, oh, if you're writing an iOS app and you're doing this and that, and then you figure out you want to be on tvOS as well, like this is all you need to change to your existing iOS code. That's fine.
Yeah.
iOS related, but I don't think it's good to have like 1 week is all tvOS or all macOS or.
Sure, absolutely not.
I mean, let's not sort of like cut somebody short. Like, oh no, wait, you just said another word than iOS. Stop talking right now. That would be
Got it.
The same thing for design, right? We don't want anybody coming on here teaching us how to make a website, right?
Hey, listen. Before I made my first app, I absolutely struggled with designing the thing. Like Donny Walls literally helped me with everything with it, like just getting to sketch. I was so intimidated.
Images.
I think a lot of devs don't know how to go from. They would build their app, right? It's working, but they don't know how to minimize the size of their images. They don't know how to make an icon. Like I was so frustrated and intimidated. So we can get someone to talk about that, like once you have your app or once you're designing your app, how can we help you to minimize the size of your images or to make an icon or to make buttons and stuff. Like right now, I'm making buttons and stuff with core graphics, and it's super dope. And
dope.
yeah, I love that stuff. But that's what I'm saying. Maybe we can get Daniel to talk about that. Like help someone to be able to to get their app from like something that's really ugly to something that looks attractive.
Yes. I like
And
that.
properly prepare assets. I think that's
Exactly. Preparing assets. Donnie, you should write an article about that. Like preparing assets or taking assets from Sketch to iOS or something like that. Like
Yeah.
no pressure, Donnie, but you really helped me with that.
Especially
Like
especially using them efficiently, like Xcode slicing. I'm not sure how many people actually know about that, but it's definitely more efficient than just throwing in your assets.
what up, Zane?
Hey, I was eating, so I had to finish that.
Okay.
But Xcode slicing, I have not used that, or I think I might
I've
have.
never used that.
Is that where you have like a 1 pixel kind of button and then it expands through the whole thing?
Yeah. Essentially, you create a really, really small asset. I think it's like a minimum of 4 pixels, 2 by 2, and essentially you just grab the corners you want to not be morphed in any way, and then it stretches them out. It's pretty cool.
Oh, isn't that called like slice 9 or 9 slice scaling? I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a built-in Xcode feature, but I'm sure there's other ways to do it.
Yeah. No, but that is interesting stuff. I think that's stuff that not many people know or use. I mean, did any of you guys know about it?
You're talking about apps. Sorry. You're talking about nine image slicing.
Yeah, 9 slice scaling. So what that basically does is it divides kind of any image in a grid of 9 slices, and then the outer corners don't get scaled, only the inner 1 slice.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And
that's
like only the
cool
corners don't get scaled. So basically, you could have a nice rounded corner button, and it would scale without messing up the corners.
Yeah, Xcode.
But Xcode
Xcode has that
built
built in. Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
thought whenever you said 9 slice scaling, I thought that was like a third-party app that I wasn't aware of.
Oh no,
that you're trying to use.
it's a technique. I
I just
way
like-
back when Flash was still cool.
All right. So Andy, what's next?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, showed my face again. Let me. Yeah, and then yeah. So we were talking about narrow focus on those two things, right? We want to narrow focus everything on iOS design, iOS framework specifically, and iOS programming. That's the essentials of programming, right? Not necessarily talking about core graphics, but just talking about how to program,
How to write a loop.
how you would do a map function, or how you would declare your variables, or
How to write a loop.
yeah, or maybe you shouldn't write a loop. Maybe you should write a map, or
Yeah.
Maybe you should reduce instead.
yeah, maybe
That always works.
maybe you should reduce.
Or filter reduce, isn't that also a thing?
But yeah, just core programming, which is probably really hard. I find programming hard to talk about. It's one of those it's usually a whiteboard session when you're trying to, I guess we're gonna make these things 30 minutes to 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. But listening to somebody talk about programming for 30 minutes is sometimes kind of hard to follow. So we were talking about some of these being video casts. I think for the core programming stuff, I think a whiteboard session would be best. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
I guess.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'd prefer screen share and live coding. I mean, that one time when Donnie killed it with it, 'cause we're working with Donnie. What was it, Donnie? Tell me.
I think the backstory kind of was that I said to you like, oh, you could just do a nib, and you were like, what's that? And I was
Yeah.
like, your interface. You're like, no, that's called storyboard. I was like, no, it's called nib.
Nib, right.
Kind of, and then we did a session on what the difference was, and why sometimes you might want to pick a nib instead of a storyboard. For example, with like table view cells when you want to reuse them and all that stuff. That was good. That was a good session.
That was good, and he also he had an issue, and he handled it like a pro.
Yeah, man.
It
Oh
was
yeah, I wrote a bug.
yeah. It was pretty good. I would not want to watch someone code on a whiteboard. Actually, whiteboard does remind me of horrible things. So, in my opinion, we can do live coding, but maybe for 15 or 20 minutes, it will be the majority of the presentation in that case. But here, in my opinion, if we're going to talk about programming, we could talk about programming paradigms that we have, and like you guys were talking about functional programming just now, and why it's the benefits of using stuff like reduce and map
Yeah.
and filter to reduce state. Like that would be like a great topic,
Yeah.
and the idea that converting code from Objective-C just to translate it over to Swift isn't cool. Like when you write Swift, it should look like Swift code, like beautiful,
Yep.
precise, readable code, And like yesterday, somebody sent me a project, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is horrible. And the idea is that a lot of us don't have people to read our code because we don't work anywhere with people reviewing our code.
Yeah, man. Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, the latest Swift. Whenever a new version of Swift, like Swift 2.4 comes out, if somebody can just give us the lowdown on what got deprecated, what's been added, new things that you can do on this version of Swift, because we already know, some of us have been playing with Swift, writing Swift for like the past year, and every so often it changes, and you in your code, you have to go in your code and you have to make some overwrites for the most part, because they've made so many changes to the language. It would be pretty cool. Like whenever Apple drops something new, we're on it.
Yeah, that would be
Also,
cool. Go ahead,
what I
Danny.
would love is like sometimes we have Ryan and a few others like talk about this stuff. Like, oh, I wish I could do this, so then like I could have a generic super protocol with a map filter reduce built in, so I can filter out reduce my protocols. And I'm like, okay, why? Like I would like to see like why are certain new Swift features so cool? Like a lot of them I don't really care for because I don't see how I'm going to use them on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, let me rebut that. The thing is, right? I remember the first time when I saw map and filter and reduce. I was like, but my loops work fine. They're beautiful. They work, and the functions were good enough for me. Like they worked until I finally understood those things. I was like, it's remarkable what you could do with those functions once you learn how to use them. And then, right, I wrote a function and I put it in architecture somewhere, and someone was like, why don't you make it generic? At that point, I've never used a generic before. The person was like, you should make that function generic, and I made it generic, and it just got 10 times more powerful. You know
Exactly,
what I'm saying?
but then you found a need for that. But there's also I'm struggling to find the example where I was like, yeah, but why? I think it had something to do with generics and protocols and extensions and some other stuff.
Zane, we'd like to hear what you feel about this stuff.
I actually have no input on Swift. I hate Swift. I'm so sorry. I gave it so many chances, but it keeps coming back in this deformed shape, and it's not my favorite. I love Objective-C.
Dude, that is an interesting statement.
No!
I know. So many people just go on and on about Swift, and I just can't say anything about it because I don't know anything about it. I can tell you how to convert an Objective-C program to Swift in a very crude way. I can tell you literally nothing specific to Swift. Generics, don't even know what those are. What is it? The other protocols, I know what those are because those are in Objective-C, but it's ridiculous. I hate the language.
Okay, guys, just give us a few minutes. Give Zane a few minutes here to tell us what was so difficult about Swift, because I've never heard this perspective before.
No, I've never heard it either.
So it all started whenever Swift came out, when it was a fresh new baby. This baby cried. It cried a lot, and it demanded my attention. So I gave it my attention. I gave it my affection. I gave it my trust. I gave it my all. And it turned around and betrayed me. I don't understand why. I read the entire Swift manual whenever it came out, the first revision of it, and it seemed pretty empty. It seemed like it was just really just what Objective-C had and maybe a few of what differentiated Swift. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. I'll try making my next app with it, and I started with it. And everything I did just needed some sort of revision. It needed an exclamation mark that I forgot. It needed a question mark that I forgot. And it was just like, I don't want to unwrap this. I don't want an optional. I want it to just be. I'll handle nils later. And it was just so much going back that it wasn't even worth the extra effort. I would just rather call functions on nil in Objective-C or whatever.
Do you work for a company, or are you an independent developer?
I work with a small team. I wouldn't really call us a company yet, but we're getting there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just asked because I was wondering what the rest of your team did.
They're all on Objective-C too. There's only 2 other programmers, and they're both C fanboys. So yeah, we don't really have to worry about Swift. But we're all trying to move on. We're all trying to move to Swift because we understand that that's where things are headed. But it's just not really fun. I don't like programming in Swift. It's not fun for me.
I'm not kidding. Your perspective is like, it's so unique, and maybe it's because I live in somewhat of an echo chamber, because I associate with people and follow people on Twitter who love Swift, and there's nothing in the world to me that's more beautiful, like in computer science, than Swift. Like, I love it, absolutely love it, and this is the reason. When I first went to iOS, I tried Objective-C, and it was mind-boggling. I'm like, I didn't get it, and I wondered if it was me, but it really wasn't. It was that ugly language. Mm-hmm. And I just really love Swift, and I don't see many people saying that they don't like it. I've seen people say that they don't have time to go to it now or to try to learn it, but I've not seen someone said, I tried it and didn't like it.
Yeah, Objective-C was the same way for me at first too. I tried it, I think, when I was 10-ish, and it was back when memory management was still a thing, and that blew my mind, and I could not wrap my head around it at all. And so I just dropped it first day, and I came back to it a few years later whenever one of my friends came up to me and said, hey, you want to make an app? And so I learned Objective-C, like the bare bones, in like 2 days, and I loved it. I don't know why I loved it this time around. Maybe it was because of Arc, but I loved it way more. And then I went further into it and found that Objective-C is just, there's just so much low-level stuff you can get into, and that's what I really love. I love low-level programming. Anytime I can get to the bowels of a program, I will go there. And I don't know, I just feel like Swift keeps an abstraction from that is just, it's like you're tiptoeing around the bowels of your program to make sure you don't break anything. And I would like to break it. I love breaking stuff. So,
Zane, where are you located? Are you in the U.S.?
Yes, I'm in North Carolina right now.
Is that where you live?
Yes.
Yo, when I come down there, we need to have coffee, because I want to sit and talk to you, because like that's crazy, bro. Like I'm not kidding. Like, this kind of feedback is just different. But what you said about the low-level stuff, that's an interesting perspective, in my opinion. Because I've never dealt with low-level stuff. I live in West Virginia, sadly, but I come to North Carolina a lot. Actually, I'm heading down there on February 26th. So
nice.
if we could get together, it would be nice. But that's really interesting what you're saying now. It's kind of sad, actually, but.
No, it's cool, right? I mean, we're not trying to do a Swift podcast, right? We're focusing on iOS, and I think it's awesome, man. I think I think developers should learn both languages.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, and it's really good to have guys like Zane, and hopefully you can school us on some of those gotchas with Swift and show us how you would do it in Objective C, because I'm always interested in that, because I'm kind of with Jasbo on this one. I'm like I study Swift. I'm on Twitter. Everybody's using Swift, right? And there's tons of great examples. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like, why would anybody ever want to use Objective C?
Yeah.
But you made some really good points,
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
The reasons I've heard are similar to what Zane just said, like, oh, I want to drop down to the low-level C APIs, and they suck in Swift right now. Heard that one a few times. But also, like, I don't want, like, I work on this app that is what I make my money off, so I don't want to have to stop developing features for a couple of days to, like, get it down to the latest Swift syntax and make it pretty, because it is pretty in Objective-C, as far as Objective-C can get pretty.
But Donnie, don't you have a pretty massive app, right? In Look Live.
Yes.
Like, how tough is it now to work with Swift?
Not at all. It's never been for me, but that's kind of because, like, I could just say to my boss, like, I need a few days to convert to the latest Swift syntax, and he's going to be like, but why? Why do we pick Swift? I'm like, I don't know. It's how I got the app. Like, I don't have to, I'm not responsible for picking Swift. No, but kidding aside, it's not that bad. Like, if you sort of run Xcode in the beta and you sort of start slowly preparing a few days in advance before you have to convert, it's not that painful. Dependencies, they are the most painful thing, because you're dependent on somebody else to convert their stuff.
Yeah, and I don't use CocoaPod, so I don't depend on anybody. They're like, it's new Swift, and I'm like, yes!
Or you just pick the Objective-C libraries. Because in the end, when you're using them, you don't even notice the difference.
That's true.
Barely.
Because I was working on a home project, just playing around with something called Tesseract recently, and it's written in Objective-C, and it worked flawlessly. And I think as devs, right?
That's what matters.
And maybe it's biology, but oftentimes I think we complain way more than we give thanks. But I think they did a great job in ensuring that the Objective-C code worked with Swift. Because it does.
Yeah, they really did. I have to hand them that. I did have some troubles at first with the bridging headers when Swift first came out, and I was trying to get bridging headers to work with Objective-C libraries, but it just wasn't working. So I really, they did a great job with it overall, getting it to work back and forth. I've used plenty of Swift libraries in Objective-C, and I haven't had a single complaint.
Right, it works. I like that. Andy, what's next?
That's it, man. Those are the 3 topics, man.
Can I see your screen share again, please?
Yeah. I mean, that's, unless you guys have anything.
Okay, so today is Monday, right? And it's a holiday, and you guys pulled me out of my bed.
Is it a holiday today?
Yeah.
Pause.
What holiday is it today? I want to be where you are.
It's Martin Luther King Day.
Martin Luther King Day. It's a big deal.
For you guys it is, right?
Oh!
No, we just don't celebrate it. We have King's Day. That's where we celebrate King's birthday. We all get a day off.
Hey Zane, Donnie is from Red Light District in Amsterdam. So if you need a hookup,
I'll be over in 5.
All right. Can you scroll up? Let me see that. What you have, Andy? Scroll down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can ignore. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, we can talk about production. How we're gonna actually make this stuff.
Okay, what are you talking about, production?
So yeah, we were talking about the fidelity of the podcast. So we talked about it being podcast style and video cast for some of them.
Yeah, I'm done with podcasts. I don't know why we need to have video. I mean, unless you guys want to see my afro and stuff, but otherwise, I don't really need video.
Well, with the design, like if you want to show somebody how to move their assets from Sketch.
For sure, we can do video for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zane, would you be interested in giving a talk one of these weeks? We can give you like 3 weeks to prepare or whatever time you need.
Yeah, definitely.
About like what maybe it's not gonna be popular, but I want to know like I want you could talk to us about what made transferring to Objective-C from Objective-C to Swift so hard, and talk to us about the capabilities that you have currently in Objective-C but are limited in Swift. Like we can talk about that. If you want to give a talk about that later on, we can put you on the schedule because each week we're going to try to have a guest talk about a certain topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, that sounds
Definitely.
good. All right, so is that it?
And so you guys want to talk about editing?
Excuse me?
Editing the podcast.
Editing. Oh my God.
So there's the notion of the podcast being a set time limit, whether that be 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
45 minutes, I would say, should be the max. We should go over 30 minutes, and if we go over, we know that the final hard cutoff is going to be 45 minutes. People don't have time. Like, committing 45 minutes to a podcast is hard.
Sure,
I don't know. I've some of the common podcasts, I totally blanking right now. And like the Tech Show, Accidental Tech Podcast, all of those, they all go to about 30 to 45 minutes, but it's pretty flexible. They don't seem to have a set time.
So
I think that you can just aim for 30 minutes, and then when it hits 30 minutes and it's still interesting, they just keep going, but they start to wrap it up. Like,
yeah, they definitely try after a point.
So that sounds good to you then, Zane, that we say our limit is 30 minutes, but we're not going to say, hey, this is interesting, so we're going to cut it off. We just continue to 45 minutes. Does that seem like better to you then?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, we could do that.
Cool. So let's shoot for 30 minutes. Hopefully that doesn't rush the presenter, because at the same time, if we're trying to learn about core graphics, I hope 30 minutes is enough time without.
I think
just the presenter just rambling on. Sometimes you want to give good examples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for the presenter it will be important to make sure that they have a GitHub repo on the back of it, like where people can play with it after he's done. So in 30 minutes, he basically walks us through the repo and tells us what's going on, and it's like, well, and if you want to know more about this, then try to change these values or have a look at this extra little project that I added in that repo.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Like I don't know. I don't think it's possible to go too deep into core graphics in 30 minutes, but you can certainly provide a very good overview.
Sure, exactly. I'm with you. And you guys may not understand because a lot of times, we get excited about meeting up. I love meeting up. But the truth is, to get people to commit long times to these things is really hard. And I think 30 to 45 minutes is good, so we can introduce our speakers and we can go through our discussions, and then we could wrap up. And even if it goes to 50 minutes, we're like, yes, we are not going above an hour.
Yeah.
How long or how often are these going to be? Once a week or
we try to do once a week, and that's the reason I was saying that we could keep it short. So we try to do every Friday.
Oh, okay.
Did you have a preferred day that you'd want to do it?
No, I was just making sure there was actually a.
Well, let's aim for one a week, right? Because we talked about if we want to have somebody on here and they're not available on Friday, but they can certainly be available on Saturday.
Sure.
Maybe we become flexible there.
I mean, hey guys, I'm down. I have time.
Yeah, and if we're not gonna do this live anyway, then let's make it the best day, but let's try to do Friday.
Mm-hmm. All right, is that it?
I think that's it, man. You guys got anything else you want to say, or is anybody volunteering for Friday?
Okay,
Sure.
What are you doing for Friday, Donnie?
I will volunteer as a tribute.
Okay, so what? Are you gonna present the topic?
I don't know. Do we want me to present the topic on Friday?
I think Friday is unreasonable to tell you that you need. I mean, you have a job and you have a home. So I would say like we could just talk about Friday about. We can choose a few topics in iOS and just talk about them, just ramble about them as we feel fit for 30 minutes, and then we can do our first technical talk next week.
There you
Sure.
go. There you
That
go.
sounds good.
There you go. That's awesome. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead. I'll put some topics together. We'll probably talk about Swift being open source and Apple Pencil and shit like that. And then next Friday, Donnie would school us on whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah, we can figure it out over the weeks. If we could create a Trello board that we could share, it would be nice.
Yeah, we could just put like tickets with topics in there, and then
Trello board and ask people to pick it up, and I can do it through our Trello board from iOS developers if you guys want.
sure.
And Zane, are you new to our group, right?
I'm fairly new. I'm pretty inactive just because notifications are really hard to manage in that group. So
Yeah.
I'm only in when I want to be in, but I definitely read a lot of stuff in there.
Cool.
That's cool, man. Just come in whenever you can and join the conversation. It's always cool to have people around. I log out. I quit Slack to get work done. So I just go on Slack on my breaks. Otherwise, you get nothing done because it's very active.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it was good talking to you guys.
Good to see your faces again.
Yeah, man, you guys, man. Yeah, Zane. We used to do this. We used to do like a hangout like
Every week.
bi-weekly.
Yeah, like very often, or sometimes just sporadic, like a midweek. You're like, hey, we want to hang out, and then but now we don't do that anymore. It's kind of sad.
Look, can you show us your T-shirt?
Yeah, that's
Huh?
pretty awesome.
Oh
man.
yeah,
Sure.
I've been interested
What
this
t-shirt
entire
are you
time.
What you say?
What T-shirt
Show
are
us
you
your shirt,
wearing?
man.
Oh, it says eat, learn, code. Yeah, so I mean that's life, right? If you got
Yeah.
those things,
It looks like Apple Watch. Is it Apple Watch inspired?
Definitely.
maybe I'm
Yes,
pretty sure.
that's definitely Apple
It looks
Watch.
like the activity thing that they have.
Right, because think about it though. These are activities, so it's like a play on the thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's
on the sort of you need to walk this amount.
Yeah, right, exactly. So this shows you how much
I
you need
really
to.
like it.
Yeah, so I mean, I dig it.
This
This
is
is
the kind
my-
of stuff we need on Look Live as well.
Right. All right, guys, we'll link up. All right. If you guys need anything, just hit me up. And if you guys need something announced through the group's Twitter or a formal announcement in their group, you let me know. I'll take care of it.
Cool.
Sweet.
All
All
right.
right.
So, who is going to do Friday? Is it going to be?
You guys, we can do a group. We can. Who said 3 o'clock?
We can. That was my computer.
What? That's pathetic. Okay, so what time can you guys meet?
On Friday, like
I can do the same time on Friday.
yeah.
Okay, so we can announce it, and then people who want to talk, since it's going to be a general talk, we can we don't have to limit how many people join. We can just invite how many people want to come. Does that make sense?
Sure.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I'm down for the same time.
Cool.
Let's do it, man. Let's get it.
All right, link up, guys.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See
All
you guys.
right. Talk later.